As we know that finite element analysis is used for finding the unknowns such as displacements, stresses or strain. So in order to find the stresses, displacements or strains in a structure, a basic idea about principles of elasticity must be known. Of the concepts of principles of elasticity is already discussed in few courses like strength of material and engineering mechanics. Now let us refresh those concepts that you have already studied in strength of materials about elasticity. I guess the stresses, the word or the term stresses is not new to a civil engineering student. Stresses is nothing but force applied on a unit area. So based on the type of the material, the behavior of the stresses will vary. So in general, there are 6 types of stresses: compressive stress, tensile stress, shear stress, bending stress, torsion stress and fatigue. Based on the application of the external load, these types of stresses will vary, and this will result either in the deformation or compression based on the type of acting on the structure. Now let us see how the stresses in finite element analysis are computed. So in finite element analysis and in the theory of elasticity, right hand rule is used for selecting the coordinate system, as the coordinate systems are very important in determining the stresses of an element. So I told you the right hand rule system is used for selecting the coordinate system, and the equation derived for any one such orientation hold good for all the other orientation of the coordinate system with this right hand rule. Now let us imagine a 3-dimensional element. I now request you to visualize a square cuboid which has equal length on all sides. And I also request you to look at the corner of wall where you are sitting right now. And imagine all those corners of wall as x-axis, y-axis and z-axis as shown in the figure A. So figure B and figure C are the different orientation of the coordinate system. So since I have asked you to imagine a square cuboid, let us assume the 3-dimensional element of square cuboid with the size of dx, dy and dz. Now the stresses in the 3-dimensional element with the sizes of dx, dy and dz will be computed based on its coordinate system along with its orientation. So now imagine you are placing a square cuboid in the corner of the wall, and consider the corner of the wall as 3 axes: x-axis, y-axis and z-axis. In this 3-dimensional element, the side A, B, C, D called as negative face of x, whereas the face E, F, G, H is termed as a positive face of the x. So let me repeat it once again. The side A, B, C, D called as negative face of the x, whereas the face E, F, G, H is termed as the positive face of the x. So this is with respect to the x-axis. So in x-axis, the value of ABCD is less than for the face of EFGH. Similarly, along the y direction or y-axis, AEHD is in the negative phase because it is in the negative phase of y, and BFGC is in the positive phase of y in y direction. Similarly, in z direction, DHGC is negative phase, whereas BFEA or AEFB is in the positive phase. So the reason behind expressing the positive phase and the negative phase is to calculate the stresses when we apply the equilibrium condition. So here on all the sides of the cube, stresses will be acting on the plane with respect to x, y and z direction. And the other important point to be noted down is, in a stressed body, the value of the stresses change from phase to phase, from positive phase to negative phases. And the common sign convention used in calculating the stress for a 3-dimensional element or a typical element will be, a stress is positive when it is on the positive phase direction, or on negative phase in negative direction. So imagine the stresses are acting on the every phases of the cube, and this figure shows the positive stresses when it is similar to this type of arrangement. You can see sigma x, sigma xy, sigma zx. Zx represent it is in zx plane, or xy represent it is in xy plane. So all these stresses are positive because it is facing in the positive phase of the axis. Similarly, if it is facing in the opposite phase, which is termed to be a negative phase, the stresses will be negative. Similar to the assumptions that when the load is pointing downward it is negative and the load is pointing upward it is positive. So in a similar sign convention is also adapted for determining the stresses in finite element analysis for this particular element. So this tabulation will show you the stresses on the negative and the positive phases. So for example, in the x direction, the stresses in the x direction is sigma x, and the expression will be sigma x plus dou sigma x by dou x into dx. Similarly, in the y direction, the stresses will be sigma y is equal to sigma y plus dou sigma y by dou y into dy. Finally, in the z direction, sigma z will be sigma z plus dou sigma z by dou z into dz in the t direction. So this is not something new because this you have already studied in strength of materials. So let me not go in much detail about the types of stresses in both positive and the negative phases. Now I am introducing a new term called body forces. Let the intensity of the body forces acting on the element in x, y, z direction be capital X, capital Y and capital Z. Since in most of the cases we neglect body forces, but in order to determine the stresses in along the x, y and z direction, now the body forces is being taken into an account. So the intensity of the body forces will be uniform over the entire body. The total body force in x, y and z direction on the element will be given as capital X into dx, dy and dz, which represents the size along x, y and z direction, and y into dx, dy and dz in y direction. Similarly, so to determine the stresses in this element, a typical element, now let us apply the condition of equilibrium. Let us apply the algebraic sum of forces along the x-axis equal to 0. So by taking this equilibrium condition, the forces acting in x direction is taken into an account. So all the positive and the negative stresses acting in the x plane will be taken, and that will result in this equation. So in order to simplify this equation, let us divide the equation by dx, dy and dz. After dividing this equation by dx, dy and dz, so the resultant equation will be looking similar like this. So dou sigma x by dou x plus dou tau yx by dou y plus dou tau x by dou z plus x, where x is the body force, which will be equal to 0. Similarly, when we apply the equilibrium condition as algebraic sum of all the forces acting along y direction is equal to 0 and z direction is equal to 0, the stress equation can be obtained as dou tau xy by dou x plus dou sigma y by dou y plus dou tau zy by dou z plus y is equal to 0. Similarly in the z direction. So based on the basics that you have learnt in strength of materials, we know that stresses acting normal to the plane is called normal stresses, and the stresses acting in the transverse direction is called as shear stresses. So in order to account those shear stresses, now let us apply the equations of the equilibrium by taking the algebraic sum of moment about x-axis through the centroid of the element. So when we take moment about x-axis to the centroid of the element, that results in this equation. As you can see, all the shear stresses are being accounted when we take moment about x-axis. So after a simplification and further grouping of the shear stresses, this is the resulting equation. So to further simplify, we divide that previous equation with dy, dx and dz. We get tau yz is equal to tau xy, tau xz is equal to tau zx, tau xy is equal to tau yx. So these are the shear stresses. As you can see, tau yz is equal to tau xy. So this can be represented in a stress vector as sigma tau is equal to sigma x, sigma y, sigma z into tau xy, tau yz and tau x. So based on the application of equilibrium condition along fx is equal to 0, fy is equal to 0 and fz is equal to 0, and also by taking the moment about x-axis, the equation of equilibrium for a typical element is obtained. And you can also see the body forces acting along x, y and z direction is also accounted in the equilibrium condition. This can be neglected by avoiding the body forces when we compute stresses. So we can also note that the shear stresses acting on yz plane will be also equal to xy plane, and that the shear stresses acting in xz plane will also be equal to zx plane. Similarly on xy and yx plane.